What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So let's start this video with the recent physique update of Samson Dauda, showing us a different level of fullness today while going through a shoulder workout, a little more than 5 weeks out of this upcoming Arnold Classic in March. Now Samson has always been a very high volume guy and this works perfectly for him. And one of the many reasons the man has been so successful, more specifically in the higher upper echelon of bodybuilding, is because of his ability to look so full, even when he is on the low carbs, even when his food intake is very low. But now Samson Dauda knows that this needs to be done in order to get that fine detail that we saw from him at this past Mr. Olympia, that kind of detail that is required from Samson Dauda to win these big shows. And we all saw that was literally the reason why he won his first ever stand-out last year, because he always had that enormous size, very massive. Even looking back in 2022, when Samson made his Olympia debut, and he was kinda lucky in a sense that he got a chance to stand next to Big Ramy, who was the reigning Miss Olympia in that initial call-out. Now that was the moment everybody knew that they are looking at a special talent. Now it took him some years to figure out that perfect formula, the winning formula. And Samson right now, the way he has been looking, the man is on a roll right now. And it is gonna take something special from Derek or Andrew or even Hadi Chopin to beat him, not just at this upcoming Arnold, but at the Olympia this year. Now we will also get to see whether peaking twice per year for 2 shows, the Arnold and the Olympia, which are months apart. That is it a myth that a big bodybuilder like Samson cannot peak right for 2 shows, because Hadi Chopin did like 4 shows last year, and the man just did not peak 100% for the Olympia. But so far we have seen from Samson Dauda that isn't the case for him. He actually improves from one show to the next one. The man brings an even better package and even more detail later in the year. Guys, Mr. Olympia Signature Series is now live on Hosstile.com. Use the code FAZI10 to get 10% discount and click the arrow below to check out all the Hosstile products. Next up we have a 16 weeks out physique update from Blessing Avudibu, 2 weeks into the diet phase. And he has started to look kinda bubbly, just because most of these IFB pros, they have learned to stay so lean, even in the off-season, even at the peak of their off-season. And this has now become a trend, because we see so many of the top guys, like Derek, Samson, McWalker, Martin, they stay extremely lean, even at their highest body weight. And that is why people tend to criticize anyone who gets kinda soft, and appear a bit bloated even in the off-season. And this is what we saw from Blessing. But the thing is, as long as he shows up better than his 2023 looks, if he can bring better conditioning, and more importantly, if he can bring bigger legs, it just won't matter how Blessing looked in the off-season. And maybe that is the approach that was needed from him, since we all saw Blessing wasn't making any real improvements, especially in his quads, in these past few years, even though he was working with some great coaches, like for instance Chad Nichols and George Farah. But on the flip side, Blessing never had such a lengthy off-season. He took a break after the New York Pro 2021 and he came back next year to win both Indy Pro and the New York Pro. But that same physique, that won't be able to win shows right now, this year, simply because the level of competition has just gone way up. All those physiques in the men's open class are improving at such a fast pace. So I hope there is a plan B for Blessing, because it is more than likely that both Martin Fitzwater and Nick Walker, they are gonna be doing this upcoming New York Pro as well. So Blessing needs another show to qualify for this year's Miss Olympia. Next up we have an update from Andrew Jack, who some people believe has a better shot of beating Samson Dauda compared to Derek Lunsford, because both these guys have that same height, similar kind of structure, and from all we know Andrew has been very fresh, especially in the initial part of the year when he does his first show, like it was the case at Texas Pro last year. And another thing to keep in mind here is that the most shredded and ripped version of Andrew, that was also seen at the Arnold stage back in 2023. Although I have got to say that physique, that won't stand a chance against either Samson or Derek, because although he looked very aesthetic at that show, but at the same time, he was looking a bit on the downside and a bit thinner from the side. So Andrew Jack is coming in while correcting all the mistakes that he made for this past Miss Olympia. And the biggest one was that, trying to come in too heavy and play the size game. At least that is something that his trainer Chris Lewis aka Psycho Fitness told us, that there was a difference of opinion in the camp on what these guys wanted for that final look for Andrew Jacked, and it was Krizo who wanted to bring him fuller. Now we keep going back to that Texas Pro look of Andrew, because that was the physique that convinced so many people, and not just people, so many legends of the sport, so many judges out there, that Andrew can be potentially top 3, and also maybe fight for that Olympia title even last year. So I believe even if Andrew makes the slightest possible improvements and just peaks the way he did for Texas Pro last year, he's still a good contender to not only win this upcoming Arnold, but possibly win the Olympia as well this year. He was what? Over 310 pounds at 6 weeks out. Not that it matters, but he's probably gonna be as big as Samson from the front and from the back as well. But what he needs to worry about is those side shots. Guys, Gorilla Wear is offering a massive discount of up to 70% right now. Use the code Fazi10 to get 10% extra discount. Next up, we have the physique update from Michael Krizo, who is well on his way to make a very strong comeback at this upcoming New York Pro in 17 weeks time. And I have got to say the man is looking pretty damn impressive right now this far out. And the man has done what he needed to do, which was back in December when the doctors gave him the green light, that now he can ramp up that training, and he is now at his full strength and pushing extremely hard in the gym. So initially Krizo just wanted to get his size back and the density, and he's now at a point where soon he's gonna start his prep, if he hasn't already. The New York Pro is just gonna be a warm-up show for Krizo to see how well he's able to compare to the top Olympians like Nick Walker and Martin, because unless he shows up with some insane improvements, especially in his back, and bring more weight, which is kind of unlikely at this point, because the man hardly had any real off-season, because most of this time that was spent while recovering and in that detox phase. So without some big improvements, especially in his back, he cannot win a show like the New York Pro. And we aren't even considering guys like Regan and some other guys who are also going for that New York Pro. So Krizo must have some other show in his mind, like that Emperor Classic Spain, which is scheduled 4 weeks after the New York Pro. Now this is a top 7 Olympian we are talking about. But can he still be top 7 this year with all that incredible talent that is coming in the men's open class this year? Do let me know what you guys think. Could Magnus Grago be the dark horse for this upcoming Arnold in Classic Physique? He's the guy with one of the biggest frames in this year's Classic Physique lineup, and he has been looking pretty incredible in all of his recent updates. And his Arnold prep that has been going pretty well so far. So those posing practices with Chris Cormier, they did pay off, as Greggo is now displaying his physique in a much more efficient way to create more of an aesthetic look. And based on his showings throughout 2024, including a top 10 finish at the Olympia last year, we can say that is probably going to be spot on in terms of the condition with a coach like Krizo in his corner. Well, we all know the fact of the matter is, a guy like Greggo, who is already pushing the Classic Physique weight limit, there is no way to miss the mark because he has to get shredded to make that weight. Now we know he trains with the former Miss Olympia Derek Lansford, and you can see how his back has transformed in 1 year. And now both these guys have the same coach as well. So can he be better than the Olympia? Well, the way everything has been clicking for this Arnold prep, there is every reason to believe that he is gonna be much better than the Olympia last year. So hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video, and smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.